big question. Who had or hasn't?
Okay. I don't think that your life's
I can't, there are many folks, so I would definitely say my paternal grandmother and Rebecca White Simmons Chapman, and my father, Michael Simmons, as well as my mother, Dr. Gwendolyn Sahara Simmons. And and then I was really fortunate to work and study with the teacher and writer, Black feminist author Toni K. Bambara. So she really impacted me profoundly, and this was after graduating from high school. When I think about Girls High, there was one class, I mean there were many classes, but one class called Contemporary Women's Studies taught by Mrs. Farley, Irene Farley, and that really, I mean I grew up in a feminist household, but the class here at Girls High just really ignited my feminist consciousness.
Okay. How was your experience here at Girls
Girls
High?
High, I loved it. I loved it, and I still love it. My experience, for me, what was very powerful was attending an all-girls school. So everyone in positions of power in terms of we're all women, right? So the president of the school, the president of the athletic association, the president of our class, all of that, like, so there was nothing when I was here that I didn't feel like there wasn't anything that I couldn't do because of my gender. It really informed and affirmed my experiences. I made, there are friends from Girls High, and I went to Girls High I graduated from Girls High 35 years ago, 1987, who to this day, we're like, hail to our alma mater. We can say we can. I mean, and the women whom I'm lifelong friends with are serious change makers in their own right, in their own run in the world. And so it for me, when I also think about like what had the greatest impact, I think Girls High had such a profound impact on my life. Yeah.
How has your life been different from what you imagined growing up?
I think by the time I graduated from Girls High, I thought I was like, I want to be a filmmaker. When I came in, I was like, oh, maybe I'll be an obstetrician, gynecologist, and then I was like, maybe I'll be an engineer. But I decided that I wanted to pursue filmmaking, and I am a documentary filmmaker. I've made a groundbreaking film that looks at sexual violence and healing in Black communities. I made that in 2006, and I've made shorts around intersections of race, gender, and sexuality, around Black lesbian identity. So all of that, I think, in terms of when I think about my formation, a lot of that just in terms of breaking ground played a role. So I wouldn't say that my life is exactly how I envisioned it, but I would say in terms of being a filmmaker as well as a writer and having books, that was definitely something that I envisioned for myself. And really it became crystallized in Mrs. Farley's Contemporary Women's Studies class.
How was it growing up for you? It's interesting because I can think about it now as a 53-year-old woman looking back and then thinking about it at the time. I would say that growing up was, I had challenges. I think a big thing for me as I identify as a Black feminist lesbian, and at the time when I was here at Girls High, I mean, we weren't even allowed to, we wanted to have a gay speaker, and at that point I did not identify as gay, but we weren't even allowed to have a speaker like as an extracurricular program. We had to have it at someone else's, at a student's house. We couldn't have it here. So I think that that's one thing that I wish coming of age, that, I mean, this is more society. This is not as much Girls High, just about society. That there was more openness and discussions around sexuality, because I think that was a challenge for me growing up. That played a role. I think trying to navigate my way and feel like I was okay and not abnormal in a world that said that. With that shared, I did have friends who I confided in school, at high school, about I'm trying to figure this out, and I had a lot of support from those friends who are still my friends to this day. So it's complicated. Because this is the work and we're in this Me Too era, I am a survivor of sexual violence. So I think all of that and childhood sexual violence. So just not having language or space for that, and that played a role. And I think in terms of my dedicating the past 30 years around creating work that breaks silences around sexual violence, that looks at healing. And that played a role in my being, I've been meditating for 20 years, I'm a mindfulness meditation teacher. So all of that, like doing work around trauma and healing. Yeah.
How was your childhood, like growing up? Who did you grow up with?
I grew up in West Philadelphia down the bottom, yeah, as we call it, at 32nd and Haverford Avenue. And so coming here, it was a hump to get here, taking the bus, transferring to the subway. But I loved it. I mean, for me, Girls High will always hold a special place in my heart. I was in treble clef, I was in the Black Student Union. We started a group called Students for Social Awareness. So it was really a high point in my life. Yeah.
Did you play any sports here?
I didn't, I was not a sport. I never did well in sport gym. I hated gym. I don't know what's going on now. When we had to wear the white shirt, the blue shorts, we had to have our name on the shirt. I hated gym. But now I'm like, it's so important, as a middle-aged woman to really be be in our bodies and exercise. So now I'm like, I walk and stuff like that, but I hated gym. That was not my class 231, we never won contests, not 1 year. We were very dedicated, but we never won contests. Do you also do contests?
Yeah, we had our first contest this year because we couldn't do any other ones because of COVID.
Oh, okay.
I think my team had one.
Oh, okay, all right.
I have one final question for you, and it is, what does it mean to be a Girls High girl?
What does it mean to be a Girls High girl? It means to be able to stand in my power. It means to stand in my power, to also help and support others, to find their voice and stand in their power. It means to always achieve for greatness, and greatness for me it means creating spaces that are safe and equitable for all, really that for me. But I think about what is it called? Is it the indomitable spirit of Girls High, the intangible spirit of Girls High, that for me. And it also means sisterhood and siblinghood, connections that are made for life.
I do have one more question that I answered earlier. How does it being a social activist and an award-winning feminist?
It's a responsibility for me, the writer Alice Walker always said that activism is the rent that she pays for living on the planet. And that's for me, I'm a adult child, clearly, of activists. And for me, activism is, my activism is around disrupting violence. I focus on sexual violence, but all forms of violence, to healing from trauma, and to creating a world where it doesn't exist anymore. I envision, and it probably won't happen in my lifetime, that there will be a generation that will look back and be like, wow, people did that to each other. The ways in which we talk about slavery and enslavement. I want us to look back and think about that in terms of sexual violence. So for me, activism, social activism is my responsibility responsibility, my part in making this world a more humane place.
Yeah. Well, thank you for talking to me today.
Thank you,
No
thank
problem.
you. I like your sweatshirt, it says alumni.
Yeah.
Wow, you're already in